Mr. Labiento, you ready up there? All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to 8th grade orientation. It feels like just yesterday you were sitting here as incoming 6th grade parents and you were hearing my spiel about middle school, and now in about a week or two you're going to be officially halfway through your middle school career, your child's middle school career. You're way past your middle school career. So hope your first year and a half of your child's middle school experience has been great. We're expecting a great end of the 7th grade year, and then we have some really exciting offerings for 8th grade, some really exciting choices that your children are going to start to be able to make as we prepare them for that next step in high school, where they'll have even more choices to make. So for those of you who don't know me, but you probably do by now, my name is Anthony Chiffo. I am the very proud principal of Wantagh Middle School. Thank you for coming out. For those of you who are here in person, the in-person guests get to ask questions at the end. And I know it's, there's so much going on, so I appreciate you coming out and taking the time to be here in person. Ms. Quattrochi, unfortunately, fell ill yesterday. So I told her that she's not allowed to come and spread her germs, even though she wanted to. So she is home watching from home, live stream, probably waving to us right now. Okay, so tonight's presentation is you're going to get an overview of what your child is going to be experiencing in their core classes, and then you're going to also get an overview of some of the exciting choices that they have in store for them with their 8th grade electives. I'm very proud of our 8th grade elective program, and if you survey the island, I think you'll be hard-pressed to find a middle school that offers the robust electives or the same robust electives that we do. And I'll get a chance to go through them all, and then tonight and tomorrow and over the weekend, you're going to have a chance to review all of our electives as your child makes their choices of what they would like to take next year. You're also going to get a copy of this slideshow. So this is just to help you out if you're navigating it at home and you want to review some of the slides. That's me and Ms. Q. Just the information, you can contact us that way if you need. And just when we were creating our 8th grade program, this is my 6th year as principal here. And my first year here, one of my goals was to create more offerings for students in the elective field. And our goal is always to tap into your child's interests. And we like to develop the whole child, so we like to have a robust and rigorous curriculum, but we also want to give them a chance to have some autonomy and explore some things that they might be interested in as they move on to high school and start to decide what direction they might want to go in college. So we have a number of our directors and supervisors here today. This is how you can contact all of them, but live and in person today we have Ms. Julie Rossley, who is our Director of Humanities. We have Ms. Dr. Maura LaChance, who is our Assistant Director of PPS. We have Ms. Christine Gill, who is our Director of STEM, which is Science and Math. And we have our Executive Director of Curriculum Instruction K through 12, Ms. Carol Ann Winans. So thank you all for joining us. I am going to turn it over first to Dr. LaChance. You're going to get a chance to hear a little bit about the special ed program. Then you're going to hear about some of our core courses. And then we'll get into the elective choices. And then you'll have some jobs to do, not tonight, but tonight when you get home, you'll have a job to do in reviewing the choices with your children. And we'll talk about the course selection process. So without further ado, here's Dr. LaChance.
All right, good evening, everyone. So if your child is coming into 8th grade with an IEP, they might have had an IEP or a 504 in 7th grade. The procedures, programs, and services are similar to what you've received in the past. So there's really no major changes. So I just wanted to go over a few things with you. All decisions will be made at your child's annual review meeting that occurs in the spring. I always remind people by spring, we really mean February 1st to about May 1st. We try to wrap up annual reviews by May 1st just to give us enough time to plan for your child's success, because what we offer in special education is solely based on CSE decisions. So therefore, we really don't know numbers in terms of what students might be in special class versus ICT versus resource room until we have those meetings. So that's why we just try to give enough time to prepare. At your child's meeting, we really review everything, your accommodations that are in the classroom, your testing accommodations, and I always try to remind families that as children advance through their educational career and they're moving up in grades, we want to really critically look at all the accommodations and make sure we're striving for independence as much as possible. So I give the example, students maybe who have difficulty attending, they might need prompts to refocus and redirect. As students are advancing in grades, we want to turn that monitoring away from the teacher and onto the student, because we always want to keep in mind life after school. I know it seems very far away, but we always want to try to plan and prepare. So if there's a way for the child to use like a self-monitoring checklist, and this is just one example, that's what we're kind of looking for. So each year we want to really critically look and see, you know, how we can move them towards being even more independent in the future, excuse me. So these are just a review of our special education programs and services, going from least restrictive to most restrictive. So our least restrictive, we have related services, we have OT, PT, speech, counseling. We're happy to say that this year now we have hearing services in the district through our own district provider. We used to, hearing services were contracted out through BOCES, but now we have Ms. Leonsky, our teacher of the deaf, and she provides hearing services, and that's been a really great addition to the district. If a student needs a little bit more support, they have resource room. More supportive than that, they have integrated co-teaching, and your child might have had the benefit of being in a co-taught classroom, even if your child doesn't have an IEP, because in an ICT class, there are students with and without IEPs, and it's taught by both a general education teacher and a special ed teacher, and they co-teach together, and it's beautiful to watch. They co-teach sometimes, they're finishing each other's sentences, other times they're doing small group work, and it's really a well-run program. If students need more support than that, they go to a special class, a 1511, still looking towards Regents track and taking those exams, but they just have more support of a special education teacher, and the class sizes are usually smaller than even the cap of 15. Our LEAP class is our learning experiences and academic preparation class. Those are for our students who need more support and are in an 811 classroom, and that's taught solely by a special ed teacher. And that is a very individualized program, so students' needs and their curriculum is really based on their IEP goals. If you ever have any questions, you please feel free to reach out to me at any time. The psychologists are also good resources, and our special education department is absolutely wonderful. Our teachers would go above and beyond to answer your questions and be there for you. So please feel free to reach out. And at this point, I can hand it over to Dr. Rossley.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dr. Julie Rossley, and I want to speak with you a little bit about our English program in the middle school. In the 8th grade, students receive instruction based on the department's reading and writing workshop model, which is a continuation of the instruction that the students have been receiving since 6th grade. In 8th grade, students read informational and narrative texts, and they read argumentative, narrative, and informational pieces. Similar to the experience your child had in 6th grade and now has in 7th grade, students will continue to read a variety of texts and to match their interest in relation to a given genre of study. Within each unit of study, instructional differentiation is delivered through individual and small group conferencing delivered by the English teacher, as well as through whole class instruction. Each of these structures forges meaningful connections between reading and writing and prepares our students for the rigor of high school English. Social studies. Through their 8th grade year, students will learn the second half of the American history sequence, which began this year in 7th grade. The year's curriculum typically begins with Reconstruction and ends in present day. The department's inquiry-based model follows the New York State Social Studies framework and integrates reading, writing, research, and presentation skills into the students' learning. Students are encouraged to expand both their understanding of the content while also structuring their communication and collaboration skills. And world language. Next year marks the completion of your students' second half of the 2-year middle school language sequence. As 8th graders, students will continue to expand their reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills while also focusing on learning more about the cultural aspects of countries that speak their chosen world language. Throughout the year, students will expand their vocabularies and conjugation skills within the selected world languages. Additionally, students will spend time collaborating with classmates as they practice their conversational skills. As the year progresses, students will engage in presentational and interpersonal speaking, interpretive listening and reading, and interpersonal and presentational writing. In June of 8th grade, students will sit for the Checkpoint A exam. The exam's results are included on the students' high school transcripts. At this time, I'd like to call up Ms. Christine Gill, the Director of STEM.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Christine Gill. I'm the Director of STEM here, which is Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. But I will speak tonight a little bit about math and science. So once your children get off into 8th grade, they'll be going on one of 2 paths, depending on what they're currently enrolled in. So our students that are currently enrolled in Math 7R, or Math 7, will go on to Math 8R. These children will be meeting daily for 40 minutes, where they will be learning New York State Next Generation Learning Standards aligned curricula, which will prepare them for the Math 8 New York State assessment. Not to be confused with the Regents exam, which they will take in Algebra 1 the following year in 9th grade. The other option for your current 7th grade students is Algebra 1 Honors. Students that are currently enrolled in Math 7 Honors will move on to Algebra 1 Honors. This will be a little bit of a shift for your kids as they're currently sitting in a 60-minute math class for 7 Honors, and they'll shift on to a 40-minute math class in Algebra 1 Honors. And the reason for that is if your kids are in 7 Honors right now, they're currently learning the 7th grade curriculum and the 8th grade curriculum foundational skills needed for algebra, so that we put those 2 courses kind of together this year, which is why they have more time. So next year, they'll definitely be in a more expedited setting in terms of content and learning the curriculum. This course, the Algebra 1 course, will prepare students to take the Algebra 1 Regents, which is a high school level course, high school level exam that is a graduation requirement. So it's exciting to have that opportunity for your children to be able to fulfill that requirement in middle school. This slide shows, you can. Sorry, I got it. Okay, sorry, I thought he was, I don't know, I thought he was doing it up there. All right, so this is the progression of math courses as they move on from 8th grade on to high school. We have a pretty fluid program here, though, in terms of students coming into honors. If they're excelling and maybe maturing mathematically later on in their high school career, we have the opportunity for them to jump onto the honors track. Like I said, if they're really excelling, we don't want to hold them back. So this is a typical progression for a student that's currently in Math 8. Will progress in their 9th grade year to Algebra 1 Honors, Algebra 1R, and then move on to Geometry R and Algebra 2. Math is pretty black and white, cut and dry, as you know, so we really just follow the progression of the New York State Regents exams, which is Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. It's just a matter of if you take Algebra 1 in 8th grade or you take Algebra 1 in 9th grade. Either way, 8th grade Math and Algebra 1R are both really rigorous courses and really foundational to the rest of their math career. After your Algebra 2 year, you're moving on to whatever pathway makes the most sense for the child, and we really work on an individual basis with your kids to make sure that we align those upper level courses with what they want to do in their post-high school life. So whether they want to do statistics, if they want to move on to pre-calculus, maybe math electives, and we decide that as they progress through their high school career. All right, shifting gears to science. Science is exciting here in Wantagh as we give 8th grade students a really great opportunity of taking a Regents coursework in their middle school years. So just like math, the graduation requirement for science is that they have 3 science credits, 1 life, 1 physical, and then 1 either or. And by the time they graduate from the middle school, they will have fulfilled, hopefully successfully, 1 of those credits in Regents level coursework. So students will either go into 8th grade in life science biology, or they will go into earth and space sciences, depending on their Science 7 grades, their teacher recommendation, and so on. They have 60 minutes of science in 8th grade, and because of the lab component, the requirement by the state for those Regents courses. Both courses are aligned to the New York State Science Learning Standards, which is a really big shift right now in the world of education. Science has changed tremendously in how teachers are instructing and what they're teaching. And I will tell you with confidence that Wantagh teachers are certainly at the front line of learning everything that they need to properly prepare your kids for what they will see on those New York State assessments. It's exciting, it's a lot of work, but we are doing everything in our power to make sure that we are serving your children to the best of our ability in terms of curriculum and instruction. Both of these courses terminate in a Regents exam again, which is a New York State graduation requirement. So certainly rigorous. 8th grade is definitely an exciting but rigorous year for your children in the world of science. This is again the progression of where your children will go after 8th grade, depending on what they take. So if they take Earth and Space Science, which is technically our honors level coursework, they will move on to a combination course, which is AP Environmental Science and Life Science Biology. So essentially this is an AP level course combined with a Regents level course in the same year of 9th grade. So it's pretty intense, and that's why we take our honors 8th grade students and put them on that pathway. Our students in 8th grade that take biology will move on to Earth and Space Science. So really, by the time they finish their 9th grade year, your kids will have taken Earth and Space and biology. It just matters, it just differs by which order they take it. But it's exciting for the kids that by 9th grade, they'll fulfill 2 of their science graduation requirements and Regents exams. After that, they have a lot of options in the science world. More than you can even imagine. We have, forensics, we have chemistry coursework, physics coursework, we have anatomy, all sorts of fun stuff, college level, AP level, and again, that's really an individualized basis. Once they get to 10th grade, we kind of talk about where they want to, what they want to do after school, and then we figure out what those elective or core courses will look like. All right, so our high rigor course offerings, I kind of spoke about this already, but I'll just touch upon it one more time. So our honors level students in 8th grade, if they're currently in Math 7 honors and they're excelling tremendously in Science 7, we'll move on to those highest level rigor courses, which is Algebra honors and Earth and Space honors. Again, you would get into these 2 programs with teacher recommendation and mastery in the 7th grade year in math and science. You can be in an algebra honors and not Earth and Space. You can be in Earth and Space honors and not algebra honors. So it's pretty flexible depending on where your child shines. If they're not in either, it's okay. That's still wonderful. 8th grade is still a very rigorous year, no matter if they're in these high rigor courses or not. It's definitely a foundational skills they're learning either way. So we don't want to push them. We want them to do exactly what's best for them. Sure, there are probably questions about all of that, but I'm going to reintroduce Mr. Chifo for the next part of the presentation. Thank you.
All right, so as you see, the acceptance letter for Earth and Space will come out the middle of February, and then you have until March 14th. So if you don't get a letter on the 13th that your child has been chosen for Earth and Space, that means they're going into life science. And if you would like to appeal that, you can reach out to your child's guidance counselor. All right, so the fun part. So these are on the bottom here lists all of the exciting 8th grade electives that are available here for your child. And they've evolved over the year. Sometimes we cycle in other options that we have on the books. But these seem to be the biggest choices, and we don't want to offer too many each year because it's a greater risk of some of the classes not running. So we try to narrow it down to the choices that seem to fill the most. And your children already had a number of opportunities to learn about the choices that they're going to get to make. If you are on Instagram, you might have caught Ms. Q and I's awesome Instagram video where we got a chance to explain in language that I didn't understand each elective. It was all written by students in teen slang. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out, I certainly encourage you to do so. Then we had, for our first year ever, we did an elective showcase. And I just want to thank Ms. Q because the elective showcase was all her vision. And watching her bring that vision to life was pretty impressive. Those are some pictures from it. Basically what we did it the week before the December break, and we had 2 periods where, it was a 2-period block, where all of our elective teachers were in the gym, and it was basically an elective fair. The students had 7 minutes at each class to sit with the teacher who teaches that class and get a little idea and a little taste of what that class is going to be like. So we're really trying to make sure that each student thoroughly understands what choices they're making when the time comes, which is tonight or tomorrow, to start making those choices. So we offer them in a number of different ways as well. We have full year alternating day, so every other day for the whole year electives. And then we have half year that meet every day. All the courses, all of those elective courses are considered half-year classes. It's just a matter of if they meet every day for a half year or every other day for a full year. And then we have some early bird options as well. If you look in the top right-hand corner of this slide, when you go through the slide at home, you can click this, and it will take you to videos of each of those electives. So then if you click on one of the boxes, this happens to be the full year alternating day electives, you can watch a brief video on each of the, I'm not going to have you watch the whole thing, but a brief video on each of the electives. This happens to be podcasting. So you can watch that at your leisure at home. And just to kind of go through it, so we have automation and robotics. We have Broadway Experience. That was a new one last year, which culminated in a performance by our students that they wrote all on their own. They wrote it. They wrote the songs. They wrote the dialogue. It was great. Fitness for Life is a higher level PE class focused on more of weight training and stuff like that. Then we have podcasting. New this year is broadcasting, which we are extremely excited about. We have a broadcasting program that launched this year at the high school in 9th grade, and this is going to be a feeder for that program. So students who think they might be interested in that, it's a great opportunity. Get Up, Stand Up is a social studies elective. Then we have business management, drawing and painting, pixels and pics. We previously had digital art and we had digital photo. We've combined those two to pixels and pics. Sustainable agriculture, for those of you who were here in the past, it used to be called modern food. That was Mr. Mulet's elective. Now his wife handles it, and it's called the Sustainable Agriculture Lab, SAL, Sal, which Sal Mulet was the person who originated the whole thing, so it's the Sal Lab. And then we have Ultimate Chef, which is a very popular one. It's, think of like Iron Chef, but Ultimate Chef. And then ceramics. And then you can also take chorus, phys ed, health, and then we have AIS support that are early bird options. And I will explain to you in a second how the early bird options come into play here. So I'm going to go through a couple of sample schedules. And the early bird was something that we put into place a couple of years ago. The reason we did it was we felt it was important that every student had an opportunity to take some of our amazing electives. And in the past years, if you had certain support services or you had certain learning needs and you had to use an extra period for whatever service you were getting, you may not have an opportunity to take one of our electives. Now, every child is going to have an opportunity to do so. So this sample schedule is a student who's not using the early bird option. Now, just so you know, the early bird option is period 1, we call it. It's 7:37 to 8, really 8:13. It's a high school period 1. So next year, 2 years, when they go to high school, every student is going to be starting at that early bird time. So taking an early bird class is a good way to get them ready for the high school schedule because they'll be starting by 7:37 every day once they get to ninth grade. So in this particular class, we always have advisory, 8:16 to 8:26. And this student is taking Earth and Space Science, and it's a 60-minute block. So it happens between period 2, 3, and 4, 2 and half of 3. And your students are used to this because in 7th grade they have that, and in 6th grade they had a block. 2 and half of 3 is Earth and Space. Half of 3 and 4 is English. So English is 60 minutes, science is 60 minutes. And that's both odd and even fall and spring. Period 5 is the 8th grade lunch. That's 10:42 to 11:22. Then this particular student had an opportunity to take 2 of our electives, both 6th period. 6th and 7th period are our elective periods for 8th grade. So this student is taking business management and sustainable agriculture, one in the fall, one in the spring. And then physical education is required. If you take fitness for life, you still have to take physical education. So physical education is required for all. So that is being, this student is taking that period 7 on odd days. You'll see the next sample, PE is an option in the early bird as well to make way for additional electives. Engineering and design is Tech 8, so we have a couple of what we call wheel electives. This wheel elective meets only for a semester, so it's a half a year, and it's every other day. So it's technically a quarter-year course, just like they do now when they do last year when they're in 6th grade, and they do those quarter-year wheel courses. Engineering and design is a continuation of the Tech 6 and Tech 7, and we also have elements of art, which is Art 8, and then we have So Delicious, which is home and careers with more of a cooking and sewing focus. So this student is taking engineering and design on even days in the fall. Health 8 is also a requirement. So every student has to take Health 8. So that is offered. It's a quarter-year course, and it's offered during the day. In this case, spring semester on even days. You can also take Health as an early bird to push it into that early bird period to open up more space for electives. This child then has algebra. Again, it's a 40-minute-a-day class, followed by world language, and then social studies. Now I'm going to show you a schedule of a student who chose to do the early bird. So this particular student pushed their PE into the morning, early bird, and they chose to do health also on odd days in the fall. So in the fall, they'll be early bird every day. In the spring, they're only going to be early bird on even days. Then they go to advisory, algebra, world science, world language, social studies, lunch. In this particular case, the block for the science and English is periods 8, 9, 10. So we have periods 2, 3, 4, or period 8, 9, 10 is your science and English block for all students. So this student has band on odd days, and they're taking elements of design and elements of art, opposite days, opposite semesters, fall and spring, and then drawing and painting. So this is an art-minded student, art and music, drawing and painting, ceramics. And then this student is in life science, which again, 60 minutes, 8, half of 9, and then English, half of 9 into 10. And this is yet another option, and we really try to tailor every schedule to every child's needs. So the form that you're going to fill out at the end of the evening or over the next few days is really giving us an idea of what your child's interests are. Then the guidance counselors are going to meet with your child and review and be able to basically tailor-make their schedule based around their learning needs and what's available for them in the schedule. So this particular student, this is a student who is either an ICT student, has an IEP, or is in resource room, so they have to use that one of the periods for that skills class or for their resource room class. So this student is doing early bird PE and Health 8 in the early bird. And then they have their life science bio, again, 60-60, life science bio in English, followed by lunch. And then this student is taking engineering and design and elements of art on opposite days. That's a choice that student make. That student could also take a half year, every day, one semester elective, like I showed you earlier, which they chose to do in the spring, which is Ultimate Chef. So this student could take 2 of our electives if he or she so chooses. Then skills resource room, math 8, world language, and social studies. So like I said, this is just 3 potential schedules, But the choices are really endless in terms of, how we mix and match. The only things that are set is what periods the block are, and this period 6 and 7 is when those electives typically happen. All right, so we're going to talk to you briefly about the course selection process. This is where you guys come in. You'll be getting an email from us in about 45 minutes. 8:15 it's set to go out, and at 8 o'clock the choices and some of the slideshow, this presentation is going to be live on the website as well. So today, our counselors met with your children to review everything that we're reviewing with you, reviewed with them on a little bit different level. They really reviewed the course selection process, what they have to fill out, why they have to fill out what they do, how to choose their elective choices, and they rank their elective choices 1, 2, 3, 4. Because you don't always get your top choice, but we try to get every child their top choice if possible. So that was today. So between the elective showcase, the Instagram video, and then tonight's event with the counselors, today's event with the counselors, and then the opportunity to view the course selection videos off the website. I'm also going to be emailing you a link. It's a one-pager that lists all of our electives, a brief summary of the electives, and a link to the videos as well. So you have plenty of opportunities to be well-versed in our electives so you can make an informed decision and your child can make an informed decision. Tonight, that's where we are, and then the course selection form is going to be emailed to you later, which I already said, and then the course selection form, it's a pretty quick turnaround, January 21st, so next week, the course selection forms are due. You're going to be getting an email, I'm going to take you through it in a second, and in the email, it's going to have all the links that you need, and then at the bottom of the email, it's a Parent Square form that you're going to fill out, and you're going to select your choices through Parent Square, and we'll be able to see and keep track of exactly who has submitted and who hasn't, and then you have until January 21st to complete that form. All right, and then after the forms are all completed, and we have an idea of what courses are going to be running based on the top choices, the counselors will then be calling your children in over the next couple of weeks and months to kind of really drill it down and really make sure that they understand what's going to be available for them. All right, so your steps. You're going to go home, you're going to review the videos, you're going to wait for that email, and then you're going to start having some discussions with your children about what electives they might want to take. You'll complete the course selection form. Again, the Earth and Science placement notifications will be coming out. That says the week of February 5th. It might be a little bit after that. I think we kind of said February 13th, by the latest. And that is based on that 95 average for 4 quarters in 6th grade and 2 quarters in 7th grade. And then the appeals for the Earth and Space Science is March 13th. For math, anyone who's in 7H, for the most part, gets rolled over into algebra, unless there's some concerns, unless a parent concern or teacher concerns that the child may struggle in algebra. But in general, all 7H students get rolled over into algebra. So this is what it's going to look like on the email. You'll see the body of my email with the links, and then when you scroll down, you'll see this. And you'll be able to, I don't think you have to select your child's name. I think that your child's name is just there. When you click it, it's just their name that comes up. Then you'll get your choice. So you're going to literally select choice 1, choice 2, choice 3, choice 4. Okay? Next page, you have to then select, these are the wheel classes. So these are the fill-ins, quarter-year classes that meet every other day. So if there's a quarter-year opening in your child's schedule, we'll give it to them based on the choices that they fill out here. The only thing that we ask, this is important, if your child selected Ultimate Chef as their top choice, we're not going to put them in Ultimate Chef and So Delicious, because So Delicious and Ultimate Chef are very similar courses. It's just a little bit more in-depth for Ultimate Chef. So if they get into the Ultimate Chef as their top choice, please select So Delicious as choice 3. And if we can't get them in as their top choice, then we'll defer to So Delicious. All right, so you do Elements of Art, So Delicious, Engineering and Design. Then you're going to decide if you're open to your child taking early bird classes. And the early bird choices, you can select Health 8, you can select Phys Ed, you can also do chorus as an early bird. We offer that as well as another option for our musicians. So you're going to do that, and then you'll submit it, and then you'll just sit and wait. And over the next couple of weeks, we will be calling your child in, and we'll be starting to build your child's schedule. And if any time you have any questions about the process, please do not hesitate to contact myself, any of the directors, Ms. Quattrochi. We're all here to help, and we want to make sure the course selection process and the scheduling process goes as smooth as possible. So that is it for my presentation. Like I said, I am so proud of the courses that we have to offer here, and it really, if you noticed on those 3 sample schedules, they really tailor towards a specific type of child. So if your child is a science-minded student, they can tailor their schedule to take, so many science-based courses. If they're an arts student or an arts and music student, they can take so many great electives, and there's so many things that they can explore, because ultimately when they get to high school, the options increase even more so. And you really, a student who has a clear idea of what direction they want to go, and they can start figuring that out now in 8th grade, it only makes it easier for them as they move through high school and then eventually into college. So thank you, everybody, for your time. We're going to open up the floor. I'm sure you have a ton of questions, so we're going to open up the floor to any questions that you might have. Questions? Anyone? Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to have you speak into the mic for the questions, because the people at home won't hear your question unless you're saying it in the microphone. So Ms. Miss Julie Rossley is going to come down and hand you the mic when you have a question.
So it's really specific to the multiples.
Okay.
Will that form have both students on it?
Yes, I believe, so you'll have to fill out the form twice, I believe. So the
Okay.
first time you click it, I think it'll say, any children that you have in the school going into 8th grade will be on that, yes.
Okay.
And then you'll fill it out, and then I think you go back and you'll be able to fill it out again.
You're sure?
I'm not 100%, but I'm 99%.
Am I going to be making a phone call tomorrow?
If you have trouble, call me, Miss Eisenzap. And I also want to thank Miss Eisenzap because she is like our technology guru, and she put that form together for us. We used to do it on a Google form, and it was worse in terms of twins with the Google form. With this, she said it's going to be a lot easier, so I'm assuming it's because you'll be able to go back in and select one child and then another child.
Okay.
But I just want to thank her because she put this together, and it was so much easier. Yes?
It's me. So I have twins at different districts. I've used the parents for a form. What happens is that's why it says choose your student. So if you don't have twins, it's just going to be your child.
Gotcha.
If you have twins, you pull it down, you fill it out with the first kid, and then it prompts you again to fill it out.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Winans.
Oh, wait, she has a question.
So for those of you at home who didn't hear that because she wasn't talking into the mic, you will absolutely be able to select your first child, and then when you're done, it'll take you back, and you can then select your second child. If you only have one child, that will be the only option.
And the third can be added, because it was. And it worked really well, so thank you very much. My question is music a requirement in 8th grade?
So, Ms. Jones, would you like to handle that one? So I could handle it. So we highly encourage your child to continue with their performing group if they're in a performing group. To answer your question, it is not required, but we highly encourage, if they're in band, if they're in chorus and in an orchestra, to continue with that. If they're in chorus, they could take it during the day or the early bird, but we highly encourage band and orchestra students to continue with that, because it will then lead into high school, and I believe if you don't take it in 8th grade, you can't take it in high school, correct? So, Ms. Jones, for the at-home audience, it really sets them behind if they skip it in 8th grade, and it's really hard to get back into it. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. Okay. We have one over here. Sorry, Ms. Rossley, I know you're putting you to work tonight.
Actually, it's related to the music. When they get into high school, can they play a sport and do band? Oh, because, okay, somebody had said that, like, that's a no-go. Okay. Right, that's what I figured.
Who are cheerleaders, we have kids on the football team that are in band and orchestra and chorus and BMA. So we share like kids can absolutely do a sport and participate.
The answer is yes, they absolutely can do a sport and participate in music, and we highly encourage both. I myself, when I was in high school, was in the band, the marching band. I played baseball, I played basketball, so yes, absolutely do both.
And then just the wheel electives, are those optional? Like if you have a child who knows what have
Yes.
your electives.
So the wheel electives are if you have a space in your schedule where it's a quarter, like one of the semester, you need something for every other day, that's when we'll put in those wheel electives for them. They don't need those wheel electives, so they can fill it with the other 8th grade electives as well. They'll already have met their requirement for middle school by 8th grade, and they're going to get it with some of those other electives anyway. So no, they're not required. They're an option to fill the schedule when needed. But some students want it. Some students, choose to have those electives over some of the other 8th grade electives. While Ms. Rossley is walking over there, I forgot I had this little paper here. And I just wanted to, what's going to be in your email when you receive it is the link to this presentation, the live stream, the slideshow itself, the elective course descriptions with the video introductions, and then you're also going to get the curriculum guide, and I have to give a shout out to Ms. Rossley who helped revamp our curriculum guide this year, and it is fantastic, and it's clickable, and you click links, and it takes you all over the place, so thank you, Ms. Rossley, for putting that together for us.
This question might be more for the high school, but it seems like right now, like they're very tracked, like if they're not in their core classes currently in an honors level. In the high school, are they encouraged, not encouraged, but is there opportunity for a student who's not to jump tracks?
I'm going to give the mic to Ms. Rossley, and she's going to
Hi.
take that one.
Yes, there is no set track. So if your child, like in 8th grade English, there's no honors there. It's just 8th grade English. Right. So the child in 8th grade leaves 8th grade, goes to 9th grade, could be in 9H English, could be in 9R, same for social studies. And if a child is not in the advanced level to begin with at high school, it doesn't mean that the child cannot enter the advanced level going on. Same thing in science and math. We'll call them jumpable tracks. There's no tracking. Okay. Right, Ms. Gill?
That's why I emphasize that after 9th grade, all students will have those 2 Regents exams in science. So it's just, whether they took it 8th, first they took bio, then Earth, or Earth, then bio. So they come out of 9th grade in the same exact place in terms of their Regents coursework in science. And in math, they have the opportunity to jump into honors if they're really excelling. So it's certainly not tracked.
Sorry, I didn't introduce myself before, but I'm Ms. Winans, the Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and I think that's a very important question that you asked, and it's actually something that we really value once the students get to the high school level. Yes, we do offer rigorous courses in 8th grade, but we also understand that students mature and kind of learn what they are as an academic sometimes later on in their career, and we find that we want to give those opportunities for students who want to excel later on to have that opportunity. So exactly like Dr. Rossley said, they may be in honors English in 9th grade, and then maybe they want to go back down, maybe they want to go back up. For science, they all come back in 10th grade. So it doesn't matter if they took Earth and Space, it doesn't matter if they took bio in 8th grade, they're all going to go back into that bunch in 10th grade, and then they can choose honors chemistry, Regents chemistry. We also have a matter and energy class if students aren't ready for chemistry yet. Math is the only tricky one, and there's really not much we can do with math because of the fact of BC and AB calculus. But what they do try to do at the high school, and they're very successful at it, if a child who didn't take Algebra 1 in 8th grade, and then they're like, wow, I really like math, and not only do I really like math, I'm good at math,
They do create a customized schedule where sometimes students double up in some of the courses, and they do eventually have that opportunity to take the calculus course their senior year. So one of the things we really try to do is really focus, just like Mr. Chivo said, on the individual child, the rate that they mature, and if a child wants to take on a challenge, we make sure that every single child has that opportunity to do so. We do advise them in terms of what's going to be difficult and what they need to do to navigate that path, but we really want to encourage students to be the best that they can be.
I'm going to get somewhat personal here for a second. So I have 2 children. I have a son who's in college now, and I have a daughter who's in 10th grade. And I had the same exact questions you did, and I always thought that they had to be in honors, they were going to miss out on something. And I pushed my son into honors in 8th grade. He took the 8th grade Regents exams, and he struggled. He just wasn't ready, you know, and not every child is ready as an 8th grader to take these higher level courses, and it's okay. We ended up pulling him, and he struggled in 8th, he struggled in 9th. There's something clicks at some point. He clicked in 10th grade, and then it was, you know, he started really working hard, and then we were able to get him in an honors course in 10th and 11th grade, and then he started to excel. But those couple of years of him struggling did hurt, but he still got into a very good school, and he's excelling in the school that he's in, and he got some scholarship money for it. So, you know, you don't have to stress too much about the decisions they make. You make the decision that works for your child. Because of his experience, I declined honors for my daughter because she gets stressed, she has anxiety. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to put that stress on her. So she did the R courses in 8th, 7th, and 8th grade, and now she's in 10th grade, and I'm seeing almost the same thing. She's starting to click, and now she got offered an honors Spanish class, and she's excelling. So every kid matures at their own pace and at their own rate, and you know your child best, and you know what your child can handle. And if honors is not something that they can handle as an 8th grader, don't push them. That's my best advice, is let it happen naturally and let them achieve their greatness on their own when the time comes. Any other questions? All right, right here. I got this, Ms. Rossley.
So my child was under the assumption that if they continued in orchestra, they wouldn't get an opportunity to do an elective, or they would only get one elective. Can you just clarify that?
So that is not the case. That is a myth. So if I'll take it back to, it really depends on other choices that they have and other needs that they have, but my clicker is not clicking. Oh, I went too far now. It's like, you know, when the computer doesn't work and you keep pressing enter and then all of a sudden it all clicks in at once. Okay, so this particular student chose to do an early bird class. They're doing PE in the morning as early bird and health. And if you look, they have their band here, so that could be band or orchestra. Then they have this whole 7th period with drawing and painting and ceramics. So they were able to take 2 of the electives. And in addition to that, they're also, because they took health and PE in the morning, they're also able to take engineering and design and elements of art. So absolutely, I would highly encourage them to continue with orchestra, because there are opportunities for them to still take one of our electives, or 1 or 2, or, you know, at the worst, half-year electives, depending on some of their support services. Well, if you don't take any early bird classes, the engineering and design and the elements of art would have to be replaced there. So that's where PE would go. So those classes would be out, but you would still have here, however, you would have to take health at some point. So if you didn't want to do an early bird, you could put health into here and take elements of art and put it down there as well. So you can take health and elements of art in the spring, and then in the fall you can do any one of our electives. So you can do a half year. You can also do in the fall and spring an every other day full year elective, and then do the wheel classes. So there are opportunities, and again, it really depends on what they want to do, their motivation, and then what other needs they might have. Okay, any other questions? Yep.
If your child were to start in honors and be struggling and you wanted to pull them, like, can they halfway through the year go from honors to like the Regents or the R program? And does that change the whole schedule, like all the electives and everything?
Do you want to take that?
In math and science, it's completely different coursework. So they really can't halfway through the year switch courses. It's not like in math 7 and 7 honors, it's really math 7 curriculum. So it's fine and easy to switch in 7th grade, which is why we really try and make sure they're in the right placement in 7th grade. Once they get to 8th grade, math 8 and algebra 1 are really different courses. And the same thing with science is completely different, earth and space and biology. So we really want to navigate placing them correctly right now. So if you have questions, reach out to me, reach out to one of us, because we can help you.
Yep. And has it ever happened where we moved a child? Yes, but it's just we try not to, because it's completely different courses, and if we don't do it within the first week or two, you're missing too much, So, but like Ms. Gill said, in 7th grade, we have moved students from 7H to 7 who were struggling, but there's a timeline for that too. After the first semester, it's really difficult to do that. So yeah. Ms. Rossley's got Mr. Haynes.
Thank you. Hi, so I love the idea of the early bird. Quick question about it. Will band be offered in the morning as well? Is it like 2 times a day or no?
Right now, we do not offer band in the early bird. Will that ever happen in the future? I don't know, but right now we don't.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Don't be bashful. All right. So if you think of a question on the way home, do not hesitate to email us, or you can call me tomorrow. We're always around. We're always happy to answer your questions. Like I said, when you get home, in about 20 minutes, you're going to have that email that will have all those great links. You can review this on your own. Please watch the videos, and please read the course descriptions, and have those conversations with your children. Again, they're not guaranteed to get their first choice, but we always try our hardest to do that. And if they list 4 things that they're really passionate about, they'll likely get at least 1 or 2 of them. So thank you for coming, everybody, and I wish everybody a wonderful evening, and we look forward to the scheduling process. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.